Okay, we are live. So welcome to another town hall, everyone. And let me go ahead and share my screen so we have some notes. And we've got the YouTube chat in the lower right there. So help me keep an eye on that. Okay, let me just open up my participants window. All right. So Ben, you able to help with notes today? Already on it. Thank you. Doesn't look like I have anyone to introduce today, so on we go. We still have this action item sitting here from me, which I haven't gotten to yet. I apologize. I was going to ask John about this, but he's not here yet. I was just going to ask if he is in fact getting these emails. That is that where these go? They go to? Does anyone know? Do these go to John chapters at e-NABLE.org? So I thought you said he forwarded something to you, Rick.
There was a point in time where somebody tried to open a chapter and complained that we didn't follow up, and I didn't get anything. John forwarded it to me.
Oh, so he might have gone and logged into that account at that time, so that we might have messages sitting there that nobody's seeing.
It's possible.
Okay.
I don't think I
didn't
get them
realize
by
that.
default.
See, I
And
thought they were going to John and he would forward you any, so I didn't consider this a high priority. If it's just sitting there in an unmonitored inbox that nobody's logging into, then I need to get this done.
yeah, I don't know for sure unless someone tells me. I'm not getting any notifications, and
Okay.
I'm just
I
not
will
sure.
I'll try to get this done today. I've got to go get my booster after this, but I am following that. I will try to get this done. I didn't
Not,
realize that was unmonitored.
I don't know if it is. I'm just, I
Yeah,
don't think
we'll ask John if he shows
yeah.
up. But
Yeah,
if it
I
is,
think he gets them. I think some people were pinging him,
okay, we'll
and
find
I'm
out.
not sure. Yeah.
We'll find out, but it's still I haven't redirected that. I will get that done and it'll be redirected into our help desk, just like all the other emails that come in. It'll all go to the same place. All right, then Adam's still working on coordinating a meeting with our new leadership team. He created a new scheduling poll. I know I responded. It looks like I think Ian responded. Any other participation on that yet, Adam?
Not yet. I'm leaving it. I'm actually not contributing to the poll because I don't want to limit it. So
Absolutely.
whatever time works for the rest of the group, I'm just going to make my schedule work for that.
Sounds good. And I have a lot more availability than what I put in kind of a couple of optimal times, but if
okay.
any, as other people fill it in, if I see that there are other times that, work for others, I could easily add those other times as available too.
Okay. Yep. That sounds good. I'll keep eyes on it. I figure that as soon as I get responses from, I don't know, 80% of the leadership team, or at least a plurality, I'm going to go ahead and set a time down just
Sounds
to
good.
try to get something on the books.
I don't want to waste your time, but I would suggest that, after giving it another day or two, if there are people that still haven't filled it out, you might want to take the time to send a direct email individually to each one of them.
Yep, that sounds good. I know people are super busy this time of year,
Yeah.
especially the educators on the team. So
exactly. So
no problem.
All right, well then I will try to keep an eye on that, but let me know please if you see other people are filling it out and you need other times. I'm happy to add more availability.
Okay, will do.
John, welcome.
Thank you.
You can clear up a little mystery for us here. The chapters at e-NABLE.org email address, do those emails go to you, or is that just sitting in an inbox that nobody's logging into to check?
I think I do get them. And I think I confirmed. I'm checking.
Just going to send a test right now. So yeah, let me know if you get that test email, because we're trying to decide how urgent this is for me to get this redirected. It just occurred to me that maybe emails were just going in there and not being seen by anybody.
Well, I have to admit it rings a bell, but I do not have any emails to or from chapters at e-NABLE.org.
So that might be an actual account that somebody has to log into then.
Right, I can
Okay.
try that.
All right, well, I'll let you check that out. We'll move on, but let me know if you're able to
Okay.
figure out where those are going. I need to try to get that rerouted then because it sounds like we might be missing emails then. All right, so then let's see. The next one here is John and Ben to meet with Ian about interns and educators. So it looks like that's scheduled for is that next week, or was this something that already happened? The education meetup?
You're on mute, Ben.
Okay, you're not on mute now, but we're still not hearing you, oddly enough, Ben. Yeah, I'm not hearing you. I don't know if you've got the wrong microphone selected or what. Yeah, that's never happened before. I don't know what's going on there, but we're not hearing you. Okay, I'm going to assume that Ben is typing something in a chat. We'll move on. Let's see, upcoming.
Jeremy?
Yes.
There is a Gmail account, I think, called chapters@enable.org. The password I have for it is not working.
Interesting.
So we're going to have to go into the,
Oh, we can do that through the admin. Yeah, we can go in and reset that. I'm going to actually remove it. I don't want it to be a separate account anyway. So I'm going to have to go in there. And first of all, I'll have to see what emails are sitting in there and I can forward those, I think. But
yes,
I'm going to set this up as a group address alias and have it routed to our help desk.
good.
So as I said before you got here, I will get that done today now that I know that it's probably causing emails to get missed right now. I did not realize that. Sorry to anyone out there who has been emailing chapters and not hearing back. We'll get that taken care of. All right,
Can you guys hear me? Am I back?
Yeah, we got you now.
Great.
Are we still expecting Nush to join us somewhere around potentially next week? Is that still on the table?
Yeah, 2 weeks out was what he was aiming for.
Is that how
and
you say his
again,
name? Nush?
Noosh, I think.
Is that right? Okay.
And just to let me look at this. So the education meeting was on Monday, so that's
It
passed.
was, okay.
Yeah, so I can add a link to that if anybody wants.
Do you know if there was any discussion about this, about the fact that we're dropping the Cyborg Beast kits and we're hoping to maybe get some suggestions of what other kit they would like to see? Do you know if there was any discussion about that?
You know, I don't think that there was specifically,
Okay.
but I think it'd be a great opportunity to, we can add that comment to the event,
I might
knowing that
try to
Noosh
join
is
the
going to be
next one.
joining us. What's that?
Yeah, I said, and I might need to try to join the next education meeting and I can bring it up then too. It's not too urgent, but I'd like to get their input. Okay, sounds good. So on we go. We've got the metrics here from, oh, wait a second. I take this back. This is last week's. I apologize. I did not have time to update the metrics this morning. I was just starting to do that, but you know, lately there hasn't been a whole lot of significant changes in this. So I expect it's pretty much status quo. I do want to call our attention to our e-NABLE fund balance, which is around 30K. We usually try to start actively fundraising around 25K. John, do you know what we still have in the way of multi-year commitments that we're expecting that we can count
I
on?
think the candidates would be Milstein and Dora. I think Milstein is, I'd have to check emails, but I think they are ongoing. And if I remember correctly, it was 5K per year. And Dora was 3 years, potentially ongoing. I believe we're coming close to end of the second year.
End of second year, yeah.
We need
And
to check.
that is,
We do want to check emails on the Milstein Foundation because I seem to recall that was a 3-year commitment, and I believe that we are on the 3rd year or might be. So
okay.
it's worth looking into. I mentioned that only because my gut tells me that we might not see that one continue. You know, one of the board members of that organization or founders is a good friend of Bob Rieger, and since he's kind of shifted focus elsewhere, my guess is that they've talked and we might not see that continue. But I could be wrong, just, something that
I am checking.
might not want to count on those funds too long. Anyway, on we go. Thanks for looking at that, John. From the hub, we got a couple of posts. I only found two really that I wanted to call attention to this week. One of them was from a teacher, Maxie Nixon, who shared that his engineering students at Monroe Township High School in Monroe, New Jersey, created an unlimited arm for a fellow student named Luca. And they shared that on Facebook with a nice video. And I'm not going to play the whole video here. It's a 6-minute video, 6.5 minutes. I encourage all of you to check it out. I'll just play you this one little bit where he tries out the hand. You can see him putting it on there.
And this is a student that was at the school and the
right.
whole class working together on the design.
Yeah, so those are always cool stories, and it'll be nice to maybe follow up on, whenever we see something like this. It's always, I'm always curious about, I don't know, 6 months down the road, is he still using it? Is it actually helping, or how do things play out over time? So it might be interesting to follow up later and see.
Yeah,
Like
I made a comment on the post too, just trying to see if he's involved with the hub. It'd be great. I did notice that one of the students commented, which is awesome. So,
yes.
there's some engagement from his class through the hub, and that's going to open up some, sort of wider opportunities for them. But to see if Luca could get involved, we could, follow up with him, and it might be an opportunity for him to get more involved with the design side, not just the receiving side.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Nice job, guys. Really cool project. Okay. And the other one is from our own Rick Williams, who shared a cool photo of one of his meetings with a local amputee group. They were meeting up at a restaurant here, and he's encouraging the rest of us to get involved with similar groups in your area. Great place to network, get ideas, and he's finding all kinds of ideas for assistive devices beyond just 3D printed hands and arms. So he's getting into working with wheelchairs for kids now because of some discussions he had here now. Anything else you want to share on this, Rick?
Oh no, you've pretty much covered it, but it's amazing how many things these people would really love to have access to. They just don't know who to ask. And simple things just like opening doors, special hooks and things to allow them to open doors that don't have disabled, like the long handles on them that are like doorknobs. I mean, something like that sounds so silly and simple, but it's something they really love, they really need. And some of these people are multiple amputees, and many, actually the guy in the front right hand side of this picture you're looking at, he spent his whole life since he was 20 over 600 pounds and lost all that weight. And it's just, the stories are just incredible. But we're all going indoor skydiving, so I don't know how that's going to work out.
That's something I've wanted to do.
Yeah, I don't know. I said I'd do it, but I don't know.
Definitely safer than the outdoor type, which I've
yeah.
Rick, first of all, congratulations. Secondly, Adam, take note. Rick is actually in contact with a collection of amputees. Rick, there are lots of high schools, lots of schools looking for projects. And there are, for example, designs online for door handle openers, 3D printable door handle attachments and things. So if you or someone you recruit could get a collection of needs from these folks, each of them is a really good project for an individual or a whole class.
Yeah.
And they're great starter projects too for people that don't have a lot of experience, to just get going.
That's right.
You're absolutely right.
And there's another tie-in here that I'm hoping we will connect Ian into, because his intern is going to be working on hooking us up with the NIH 3D Print Exchange as a possible way of sort of hosting and sharing our design catalog. And I would love to see that catalog include a variety of other assistive devices, not just hands and arms, because like you said, Rick, some of those are much more accessible, especially for new makers that don't understand the fitting and the scaling and all that. It's a great way for them to get started easily. And there are several other sites. I shared this one before, visibles.com, I think it is. This is something from IKEA. Is it maybe it's .org? Let me just search for Visibles. That should get us to it. Yeah, IKEA Visibles. It is visibles.com. Maybe it's having an issue, but anyway, all kinds of designs for just assistive 3D printable parts. These are all designed to help with IKEA furniture, of course, but there's a lot of cool designs in there. Here it is. It's just slow. They're taking a.
And we're actually going to be doing some training here this weekend. There's a young man that wants to get involved with e-NABLE, and so we're actually going to teach him how to. He just got his 3D printer, so we're trying to get him started.
Yeah, so I'd love to see that NIH, e-NABLE collection that we will, be curating include these types of designs. There's all kinds of different things that we could have in there, not just these hands and arms. I mean, that could be a category, of course, but there's all sorts of other designs. And as far as I know, these are open source designs that we could be including in there. So food for thought. Maybe we could, maybe I could ask you, Ben, to share that with Ian as just a quick link to that part of our video here.
Sure. I'll add it to the comment. I did share that you're looking for the design kit. So.
Oh, great. Yeah, thank you. All right, so our recurring meetings, we've got the focus follow-up today, and I believe that is going to be Kyle sharing details about his trip and work in Tanzania, right?
It is, and it'll be great to hear from him. I think also as part of that discussion, I mean, it's just a great example of the Lumio process working well. So any questions that people have about his specific trip, but also about, how the fundraising process works. And by the way that he set it up, he got funds and support from Creality. He set up the Lumio process. So he got some funds that way, and he also did some crowdfunding. So between those three, he was able to support his trip, the materials, and the community in Tanzania. So very cool. Yeah.
Okay. And then tell us about this one next week.
Well, maybe I'll pass this over to Adam. This is a sort of a new sort of piloting meeting. It's not quite a monthly meeting, but it's we'll see how it goes. I'm pretty excited about this one.
Yeah. So a month ago, Ben reached out to me asking if this were something that I might want to leverage this nascent healthcare roundtable space toward. And apologies, I've got a beagle who's going deaf and making a lot of noise in the background. So apologies if you pick up on that. Yeah, so Tainara, who posted the 3D printed hands guideline, basically the quality checklist, a few weeks back. She's an occupational therapist down in Brazil, and she has agreed to speak to her experience. One second, I'm going to step out to my front porch so this dog isn't bugging y'all.
Sorry,
we're used to it with John's dog too.
No worries. No worries.
Dancer's quite a singer.
He does this thing where he knocks over the trash can and then runs around the house because he's ashamed, and that's what's currently going on. Anywho, so Tainara has agreed to an interview which will be live streamed on Monday. I'm hoping that this will be a monthly or at least bi-monthly education session hosted by me and I suppose guest starring a number of healthcare professionals in the e-NABLE community. I'm hoping that I can conscript some people in my network to speak, experts in, for example, pediatric amputee rehab, individuals who work in developing traditional devices and how maybe our processes can be improved by considering how traditional prosthetics have been made. Got some other ideas kind of percolating, and I've posted a poll in the healthcare roundtable space for any of the members there to vote on what they would like discussed in those upcoming sessions. But Monday should be pretty fun. It's going to be short and sweet, I imagine. But yeah, I think this will be a good chance to provide a sort of baseline and a greater understanding of the foundational terminology that healthcare workers in the realm that our volunteers are working in use. So yeah, I think it'll be a good use of time.
It just occurred to me, help me out here, Ben. A long time ago, we had a discussion with Everton about the work they were doing. And no, maybe it wasn't even Everton. Somebody down in South America was working on a pretty extensive document specifically about how volunteers can and should interact with medical professionals. Do you remember what I'm talking about? Maybe it wasn't Everton that.
It could be SIFE. It also could be Paraguay. John, do you remember?
Well, first of all, SIFE's recent paper is definitely something that, Adam, you want to review. Do you know SIFE Savage or her recent publication?
I was on a call with SIFE a couple of weeks ago. I haven't read her publication, no.
It's got lots of good information, and from that you'll be able to, I think, find whoever Jeremy is talking about. That's really all I know.
I wish I could remember. We'll keep an eye out. If we can, somebody out there might have already created a pretty good set of documentation with sort of guidance for, recommendations for working with how you can work with medical professionals throughout this process. And I'd love to get that to you if we can turn it up. So we'll maybe dig around on the hub a little bit.
Yeah, that would be, and that goes right into one of my like 4 or 5 areas of chief interest, namely being setting up a more expected set of standards and practices for our makers to ensure that they're involving the care team, the recipient's care team, and not just delivering and walking away. Which is not to say that's what folks are doing, but
no, but I don't know if we've talked about this, and you guys, John, Ben, others, tell me if you see it differently. But my impression is that we probably have more of a sort of a problem, if you want to call it that, here in the U.S. with this than elsewhere. I see people working with medical professionals more commonly in other regions. They seem like a lot of these other groups outside of the U.S. seem to have kind of gotten this down, and they understand how to work with professionals. We seem to have a harder time establishing these relationships with our healthcare professionals here in the U.S. Do you guys agree? Anyone?
I can tell you as a healthcare professional that the problem is not just going to be coming from the maker side. I think that we have a very entrenched system and a very guarded system. And it's one that doesn't bend very easily to newcomers or to people that are perceived as being outside of the, I guess, a threshold for expertise to be operating in that space.
Yeah, exactly.
So an organization of engineers who are volunteering to make things, I think that it's especially when you're getting into areas of like academia and working with institutions that are more highly regarded, they're going to be less apt to engage. I think that if we were going to start testing some ways to find avenues to establish more standardized incorporation of healthcare practitioners into what it is we're doing. I think finding rural communities and finding areas where people are more strapped and have higher need would probably be the best way to go about it.
That sounds good. Okay, so healthcare roundtable coming up, and that's on Monday. So you want to tell us about what's going on with our Afghanistan initiative, Adam?
Yeah. We had a misconnection this past week with our folks on the ground there. We had a time schedule, but I think that they were unable to join. I'm not sure whether it was a connection issue or something outside of that. But I'm hopeful that we'll be able to meet next week and I can get some additional updates. Outside of contact with those folks directly, though, Ben was kind enough and I guess insightful enough would be the better way of putting it, to suggest that I reach out to nearby chapter leaders, or if not geographically nearby, chapter leaders in regions that may be able to support this initiative. I believe I included Jeremy, John, and Ben. Rick, I think I missed you in this. I'm just now realizing a message that I sent out yesterday to this group of different chapters. But I believe it was Thailand, Turkey, was it Pakistan, Ben? That was another one that I reached out to. But just people who have either experience in fabricating prosthetic lower extremities or places where individuals might be able to help facilitate some of the logistics side. I'm hoping that I can make use of these folks' experience to try to see if we can get this next phase off the ground and identify a pipeline, define a pipeline to start shipping things out. Beyond that, not a whole lot of advancement. I do have some additional information on potential recipients that I've been receiving in a steady stream from Dr. Poya. But Jeremy, I believe you and I are going to be touching base after this call to try to devise a more reliable means by which to capture that information so that we can start assigning cases to makers.
Sounds good. Anyone else who's interested in that is welcome to join us. We're just going to continue after the close of this meeting.
Yep.
All right. Anything else we can do to support what you're doing here at this point, Adam, in the Afghanistan initiative?
You know, I think it's sort of a global thing. And I mean, metaphorically global. I think that I think I'm getting a better sense for how this organization functions. And one thing that I'm butting up against is that I think that individual chapters may be a little insular, and there's not a lot of like immediate engagement in the hub. So what I was thinking is maybe putting this idea forward to the group of trying to find some way to spark some more regular participation from members online to make the community a little bit more interactive.
Absolutely.
I don't know if that's actually a problem or if it's just if it's just a me issue.
It's definitely an area that we have room for improvement.
Yeah, because I think that the difficulty in engaging the leadership team and some of the bottleneck that I'm experiencing and trying to get some engagement on the Afghan initiative could be related to the fact that people just aren't on the hub that much. Wanted to put that forward and see if there's any consideration to how we can make this, whether it's increasing the number of speaker engagements like the healthcare roundtable, whether there are other ways to make this more of a landing page.
Yeah, I don't know what the answer to that is, but I think you're right about a landing page being part of it. I hear all the time about how people are still getting confused by our various online websites and where to go to find what. And we've long talked about a single, landing page, potentially e-NABLE.org, which is currently just redirecting to enabling the future, but some landing page that clearly lays out all the different key resources you need and links you to the hub and links you to an central and links you to key articles, whatever those things are. And we just haven't pulled it together. That's something that our friends over in the UK on the Deloitte team were going to help us with.
Right.
And I don't know that ever really panned out, but it's something we need
Okay.
to work on. So if you have ideas, I mean, I don't know what the answer is, but I definitely know that you're on the right track when you're thinking about, an improved landing page to get people to the right, places.
Sure. And
So-
that's, yeah. Oh, go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
So we have failed to connect really with Rob and company, with Deloitte and company, correct?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've had off and on connections, but it hasn't come to fruition. They were last that we heard, they were going to try to join one of our town hall meetings with the team, but that hasn't happened. So I don't know if we're supposed to be coordinating a specific invitation or what.
We might check back with Ian. The right intern in a semester might be able to be a mini Deloitte.
Sure.
And
For what we're talking about, they could do a nice job.
And Ed Grieg did post recently in the hub, so I'm scrolling back to see if I could find that specific post.
I think
The
the
other
key
thing-
thing is that to do that right, an intern could definitely build what we're talking about, but they wouldn't know, you got to have a lot of familiarity with all the ins and outs of our, operating, ways and the different assets that we have. So several of us would have to be very much tied into that process to help direct them, like you need to include this and this is where they should go first, and giving them all those pieces that would have to come from us.
I
Well,
shared in the
let's-
chat a link to the Launchpad. I think
Yeah, that's
it
still a
might
great.
be worthwhile to look at that as a draft. I mean, right now it's these icons. It looks like it's a wiki, but
And this
it's
is,
serviceable, and
we're
taking-
definitely not making enough use of this.
Yeah, and it works in terms of being sort of a landing page within the community. I don't know how hard it would be to just swap out. I mean, to take the same structure and put sort of a nice looking website that had, instead of those icons, some photos, and just had it be sort of a a nice looking, very simplified web page that said, learn more about e-NABLE, and a couple of these photos, and have it be something that works on a cell phone and works on a laptop. That might be enough.
Well, it's a good idea. It looks like we have some cleanup to do. We've got a bunch of test things over here in the stream menu that we'd want to get rid of if we want to start making more use of this. It sounds like what you're suggesting, Ben, is that we have come up with a way where the landing page would just be this part in here where you're not seeing all the surrounding stuff. Is that what you're saying?
A whole new page, but the same
The
structure.
same
So,
content. Okay.
yeah, imagine if you leave this page as it is, and then you build a web page, maybe on
Yeah.
enable.org,
Okay.
where it's the same structure, but it's a whole bunch of sort of photos in boxes like this. And when you click on it, it actually goes to
Sure.
some of those pages.
Okay.
Although if you click on one, like let's say you click on chapter, volunteer, or discover by volunteer type, it's kind of a laundry list, and it's helpful, but and it's
Needs to be
organized
more
well,
visual.
but it could, yeah. I mean, I think
Okay, John,
it
you
sounded like what Adam's talking about is something for people to sort of get the outside big picture, the woods from the trees.
Yeah, what I was going to say is that we've, as this page demonstrates, we've done this a number of times. And so, now we have N+1 problems because there's yet another possible landing page.
right. We did
This is
something-
actually, I think, a well-defined,
we never
wicked
really pulled it
problem.
off, but we've got a similar thing here, and it's
right.
it's not as good as the other one, but
Let me say that I think new leadership, this is their opportunity to take a fresh look, and I think treat all of this stuff as an archive of ingredients, and then to think for the 2020s, what should e-NABLE look like to the outside world? It's a big project, but frankly, if we do it, if present company does it, it's going to be another iteration of this same process.
yeah.
And this is why it's a really good time for new leadership to really think about the new functions.
And we, I don't know how many of you are aware of this, but we've for a long time had our phone number. Like if we go to, oh, I don't know, what is it under learn more? I can't even remember where we have it, but somewhere, oh, here, need additional help. So we actually have in here, this is actually 3D Universe's phone number. We've actually put our number out there as, you know, hey, if you need some help, because nobody else has a phone number. So we get calls pretty regularly. I'd say we get probably 3 or 4 calls every week that are e-NABLE related. And so, you know, my wife Alina has been bugging me to do a video about, you know, how to get started with e-NABLE. And I keep putting it off because I feel like, you know, it's all in flux. And if I kind of tell people, you know, where to go and how to get started, that's all going to change as soon as we get what we're talking about done. So I'm not quite sure. I want to do a video to go with this to kind of help people that we can point them to and say, here, watch this. It'll show you everything you need to know about how to get started with e-NABLE.
I think that function needs to precede the form, right? I think that everything that y'all are talking about in terms of how the site could be laid out to be more conducive is exactly on point. I think we also need to consider like who we want to be engaged and who we want to be considered to be a member of the community, because right now it's very maker focused, right? And we've got this great network of people who are very engaged in designing and working with people in their immediate communities. I think that if we want to, as John put it, take this into the 20s for where e-NABLE is going to go, we need to kind of broaden the scope of what we consider to be an e-NABLE community member and wrap in, you know, fundraising targets, you know, wrap in people who are going to be, you know, coordinating and doing some more of this back end work to try to target some of the larger community efforts that could really get the makers working and not just engaged in the design side. I think that if we can.
Oh, did we lose you, Adam?
Adam, you're on mute.
Maybe his dog started barking.
Yeah, I was going to mention there's a little bit of an outdated model as well in terms of how people conceptualize e-NABLE. I noticed a post in the hub this morning. You know, there's a new chapter. They're excited. They say, we are going to deliver a Phoenix V3 within the next 3 months. Tell us what to do. We're ready. And that's sort of the maker-oriented perspective. That's like, you know, this is a hackathon. We're ready. We've got everything that we need. You know, point us in the right direction. And, you know, the reality that Adam knows well is that, you know, you for his job, you meet with the device user and you find out what they need. You build sort of a community network. It's a long-term relationship. So, you know, I do think, you know, what he's talking about, getting, I think, other examples, other models, some of the articles that I've tried to put together showing how teams are working together, as well as Eric Bubar's work saying, you know, here's this whole trajectory towards research, you know, contributing to quality control. You know, I think we can come up with like, you know, a one-pager that explains all that, but I think the more that we can just highlight, all those things are going on. I guess that's what I should be saying. Well, we have a garden that's growing what we want. We just have to give it some sunshine.
And there's 2 sides of this, and what you're saying, at least in my view. There's the aspect of you know, the process itself of, here's, you know, we want you to be working with them to understand what their, you know, goals are, and, you know, make sure that we're addressing the end user's needs and working with medical professionals. It's all process. We need to do a lot to create better guidance and more detailed guidance. And I think people are pretty competent, at least from what I've seen in the past, when it comes to following good instructions. So if we give it to them, I think, especially an established chapter in a school, they're going to follow those instructions pretty meticulously. But the other side of this challenge is they're expecting us to make that initial introduction. Like, how do I find the people that need the devices? So they're saying, you give me somebody to work with, and then I'll happily go through your process. And, right. You know, but we don't know how to connect them, you know, at this point.
Well,
that,
John.
Sorry, that's correct, Jeremy. But you'll notice that Adam has stepped into exactly that
Oh, yeah.
void. And Adam, I think, hit the nail on the head when he pointed out that a bunch of makers created e-NABLE and created all of these websites. And
That's
lo and behold, it attracts a bunch of makers.
That's right.
And that's now the problem. And Adam is not fundamentally a maker. And first
Not
of all, he was
even a
able
little
to
bit.
call attention to that very syndrome.
Yep.
And I think all of that is, again, just to reinforce the notion that it's a really good time for a fresh rethinking. And
Adam,
I'm
let me just-
hoping that Adam and these new leaders will take it on.
Adam, let me just make sure you're aware of this, that our sort of our base domain of e-NABLE.org, for better or for worse with that dash in there, we own that and we have full control over that. So right now, if you just go to e-NABLE.org, it actually is going to redirect us to enablingthefuture.org. But we don't have to do
Right.
that. We could build whatever page we want and host it on, I don't know, probably a WordPress or something that's easy to maintain. So we can build whatever front page we want to link to all these different resources. It can, the way that we present the community to the world and help people get to where they want to go, it's a completely blank slate, and we can do that however you and your colleagues think best.
Let me explain maybe the impetus for where I'm coming from with this, and also a little bit of the urgency. Not tomorrow, but next Saturday is Thundergong, which is a fundraising event in Kansas City hosted by Jason Sudeikis, who is from Kansas City, benefiting local amputees in this area.
Sorry, what is it called?
Thundergong, G-O-N-G. I've never actually been because tickets are kind of pricey, but a couple of therapist friends and I are all going, and it's supposed to be a lot of fun. But I'm approaching this primarily as a networking opportunity and trying to see if there's a way, well, also to see Jason Sudeikis because he's very funny, but also because I'd really like to see if there's anyone there who has heard of e-NABLE or would be interested in joining e-NABLE, because it's going to be a lot of local community leaders, amputees, and healthcare providers who work with this community present at this event, and I'm guessing that the majority of them is not familiar with e-NABLE or what it is that we do. So having a site, having a place where I can send them, it's like, hey, this is where people like you who aren't making but want to connect people with makers, this is where you go, and this is where you can. And I know we have that, but right, that's really my goal.
Ironically, Adam, I think that e-NABLE.org does a good job of providing a first impression to people who are not familiar with e-NABLE. It's not the cover screen makes sense, and it's not geek oriented. It's heartwarming oriented. So I actually think you can point them to e-NABLE.org, and they'll get the point. If they try to dig down, they will get lost. And that's where the problem is.
Gotcha.
I just added a link in the chat. I think even better than going to e-NABLE.org is going directly to that partnership page. And I think and now I know we have two competing partnership pages, but this is the one that I'd suggest.
Well, I think it might be that
cards or something.
I mean, it might be that sort of like the top part or some components of the partnership page would be included in some new landing page, but you know, I think this addresses one part of it, people that are looking to maybe support e-NABLE, but not necessarily, you know, put their active day-to-day time into being a member. But that's, you know, that's going to cover one part of it. I think this is more for those looking to, well, I mean, we have individuals in chapters.
Yeah, everything is a work in progress, but we do have these multiple drafts of all the things that we're talking about that are floating around, and you know, it could be something. If we get somebody that wants to build some web pages, we've got a good idea of a couple simple pages that could be updated. John's got his hand up.
That doesn't mean I'm trying to interrupt you. It just means I'm next in line, Ben.
I thought you were going to chop the screen.
Okay, all right. Now that I've interrupted you. I'm hesitating because I'm speaking for Jeremy, but since you used the word urgency, Adam, first of all, Jason Sudeikis walks on water these days. He's a really good person to check out and gravitate towards if he also has this philanthropic speak, because he's now famous for an attitude which is very kindred to e-NABLE, the sort of can-do naivete. With regard to urgency, as I say, for shaking hands, e-NABLE.org, I think is not bad at all. Secondly, if you have a clear vision of, for example, how the top of e-NABLE.org plus the top of the partner page could be modified to produce a new landing page, I suspect that if you made that really clear to Jeremy, he would offer to create another page in WordPress that combined those elements. I don't think that would take him a lot of time.
No, I think you're right. I don't think building is too hard. But I'm not a designer. So yeah, if somebody can kind of sketch it, or I think it should be laid out like this, and these are the components I think we should have, and this is where each part should link to, and even wording, I can easily, put the page itself together. It's pretty much drag and drop.
So Adam, the real communication I keep coming back to for today is, I think you're just doing a terrific job. You're frankly the guy we've been waiting for. We're not just dumping it in your lap. If you have something you need short-term help on, we will step up to the plate and support you. We can make the web page you want. We can't make the website you want. That's not a quick fix.
By
But
the way, guys, there's just an interesting data point here. They happen to mention that they have raised $1.3 million over 5 years, and that's allowed them to provide prosthetics to 845 individuals, which averages out to just over $1,500 per person. Just an interesting.
so who are their partners, and do they want a
Well, they've got Hanger Clinic, they've got Autobach, they've got all
Yeah.
the big guys in here.
Oh, I see. So this is hugely relevant. Okay, well, Adam, go forth. If you learn something that needs a scramble, there's a chance we can scramble to support you if it's a quick thing. And for the longer term thing, you just got to keep doing what you're doing and keep trying to rally the new team.
Okay, will do. I will say, as a related but kind of not note, I've been all this time, the past month or so, trying to reach out to contacts I once had with Hanger Clinic Corporate, with Autobach Corporate, and a couple of other avenues like the Amputee Coalition. I think all of my contacts that were there 6 or 7 years ago are no longer there. So I'm trying to see what I can pick up.
Well, listen, Eric Bubar gave a talk at the last Amputee Coalition.
Oh, beautiful. That's great. Good to
And
know.
Have some contacts.
I have had contacts with Hanger, but that guy retired, and my Autobach, I know a researcher at Autobach. I don't think he'll do what you want, but if you want, I can dig him up and connect you.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds great. I've certainly, yeah. As far as researchers go, the only one that I have contact with is Hugh Hare, who rejected my application to work in his lab a number of years ago. So
There you go. Well, maybe you have too many legs.
Yeah, that's an issue.
My guess is that you'll meet the people from Autobach that you want to meet at this meeting. So good luck.
Yeah, I'll do my best.
It says this is in Kansas City, and I don't remember where you are, Adam. Is this something that you're going to?
I was born and raised and currently live in Kansas City. That's right.
Awesome. So you're going to attend this?
Yep, I'll be there next weekend.
Oh, that sounds like a blast. I wish.
Or wait, not next weekend. Is it November 12th?
November 12th. Yeah, it's a little ways out.
Shoot.
At least that's what it said.
That's well, okay. My friend bought the tickets, and I think maybe I misinterpreted his text. Okay,
Well,
nope, I'll be there in a couple of months.
Okay,
Wait, go back up a little bit. Who else is going? This might be, we should have a little e-NABLE party in Kansas City.
Ooh, that would be cool. Oh,
That's
Fred
awesome.
Armisen's there? Holy cow, I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
That's cool.
No, it's a big deal. Adam, the good news is that between now and November 12th, you can figure out who's going to be there and arrange a whole bunch of meetings. And if you need to get Eric or someone else out there to back up the whole thing, we could arrange for that if he was
Okay.
willing, of course. So
Okay.
good luck.
Yeah, thank you. I will say that if anybody else wanted to go out there, tickets went on sale just a couple of hours ago, and I think it sells out quickly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I
if anybody
can
wants
see
to
that
have a
Jeremy
party in
is
Kansas
tempted
City.
and he's halfway out there. So that would be fine. But just to belabor, to continue beating the dead horse, Adam, you should figure out who you'd like to have there, and then we can see if we can help you get them there.
Okay. Okay. Yep. That sounds good. I will. I'll think of that, and I'll apologize to my wife ahead of time for treating this as a networking event and not a date. So.
And like I said, Adam, the tools that I would use to, build out a front page or a website, it's mostly drag and drop stuff. So if you want to even work together, like we can get in
Sure.
a Zoom meeting and we can just kind of start playing with stuff, if that would be helpful.
Yeah.
You know what I can do to help you on this.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Ben.
I was just going to say, it's probably not the scramble that anybody really wants, but if there's going to be a bunch of folks with deep pockets, this could be the moment to, go there and say, we've got e-NABLE at the 10-year mark. We've got all these new research departments and universities across the US that are sort of orienting curriculum around this. It could be even a little one pager that looked sort of official could go a long way.
Yeah, and I think that's great. And also looking forward, if we were, this is an annual event. If we could somehow touch base with the charity organization running the show, and maybe next year and the years ahead, there'd be an opportunity for us to have some kind of presence or at least some awareness on their page with a link to e-NABLE and what we do. So.
Adam, if you're going to be going to events like this, we ought to get some business cards printed for you, just with your e-NABLE contact info, so you can give those to people.
Yeah, that sounds great. I love business cards.
Yeah. All right.
Me and Christian Bale.
Last but not least, we have a few minutes left here. I just want to touch on this documentary that Zainab is working on, because she just emailed us again, John and Ben, this morning. And I think that was a polite nudge, mostly because I think she's looking for information from me that I didn't respond to the first email. So I got to do that. But if either of you guys have any additional information, there is another email as of about an hour ago from her.
If I remember from her last email, she was hoping for other funds. She was hinting at other funds. I think this esteemed group should commit $999 just as a gesture of our esteem and our interest, even though we haven't been great on follow-up, which is a prerogative of the coordinating committee.
Well, I mean, it's a documentary project. It's supported by the Turkish Ministry of Culture.
It's internationally affiliated with Japan.
It's pretty clear that it supports one of our key goals, which is outreach. So I'd be in favor. And I'd say we just, we have authority up to $1,000. Let's not mess around with $999. Let's just call it.
Well, that was my point.
Does anyone else have any thoughts on this before we just vote on that? And
I think that sounds great. And also, they could be playing a pretty key role in some other projects coming up, like Adam's an Afghan initiative. The flights coming to and from Turkey are pretty much the doorway into Afghanistan these days, according to the doctor that we talked to.
Okay, so let's go ahead and vote on allocating $1,000 to support the documentary project going on with our chapter in Turkey. All in favor? Rick, are you with us?
Aye.
You're in favor. And Adam?
Okay.
Yep.
Yes, that was a yes from Adam. Okay. So
Yes.
that's unanimous.
Okay, so now someone needs to answer her specific question about Japan, but I don't think we have anything cooking in
Oh yeah,
Japan.
she's asking. She did. I did do an interview with NHK Japan. I can't even find that, so I don't know where she found that interview. But does anyone know more? So I guess, I mean, she's probably looking for other sort of media interviews, good videos that they might be able to pull from.
Well, so, you know, PBS did a great piece about a chapter in, I think it was Lebanon, which out of the blue mentioned my name, which is why I remember it. This guy in Lebanon says, there's this guy named John Scholl who did this open source thing. So, but it's not about e-NABLE, it's about 3D printed prosthetics, and then it traces roots to us. So that's something I
Well,
should find.
how about John, can you go ahead and respond to her to let her know that we've allocated $1,000 to help them, and you, Ben, and I should just respond with any kind of good video resources that we think might be helpful. I can't think of any at the moment, but
I am doing that, but I'm also going to copy Adam, because now the question is whether, Adam, you wish to become the interface to Zainab. She's a terrific person. She is part of the international leadership, and as Ben points out, she's a gateway to Afghanistan. So this is not to put more on your plate, but if you want, you can work on the logistics of getting the money, which will get their attention, and then use that as an entree for other conversations.
Yeah, you said work is a gateway to getting the money. I have no idea how that side of what we do works.
Oh, we can take care of actually sending the money, but someone's going to have to. I'll send a note. I'll connect you, and then we'll see how it goes.
I'll
Okay.
follow up with a couple of resources too. I had a draft this morning to send to her that didn't make it out of my inbox, so I'll also sort of jump in and see how I can help in terms of resources.
Well, are you going to? What's the sequence here? Do I respond directly now, or do I wait for your draft?
No, if you want to just let her know.
Okay.
You know, coming from you, I think it's going to be
Okay.
On the thread, John, so then Ben can respond.
Yeah, he is there. Okay.
So
Okay, good. Resolved.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go ahead and wrap this one up. I'm going to stay on the line to talk with Adam and anyone else who's interested about the logistics of capturing needs for Afghanistan, and just some of the associated questions of how the mechanics of how we do that. Anyone's welcome to join us for that discussion, but I'm going to go ahead and bring our live stream to a close here, and we'll see you next time for the next town hall.
great. And just a sort of a final cap. This